Startup businesses valued at more than $1 billion colloquially are known as unicorns. Fund manager Investable knows about chasing unicorns. It was one of the early backers of Canva, now valued at $40 billion. But now Investable is chasing new unicorns with a new $100 million fund in the tech space around carbon reduction.
We absolutely think there is the climate tech Atlassian or climate tech Canva out there at the moment. And we think, climate tech is going to produce a huge number of unicorns over the next decade.
Companies hit hopes like Applied EV, whose founders come out of Australia's defunct auto industry.
We decided we didn't want to be a car company because car companies do that really well. They've done it for 100 years. What we saw as the gap was that we had digital tech companies that didn't know anything about vehicles and car companies that at that time didn't really know anything about technology. So we set out to hire essentially technologists and roboticists and electrical engineers, software engineers, guys that had experience in Australian solar racing and things like that.
Applied EV creates the tech IP that drives robotic vehicles.
Essentially what we have here is a giant battery. We have a couple of drive motors at each wheel, so there's no axles in this particular vehicle. That really helps us with being able to control the vehicle.
This lightweight vehicle base, called a Blink robot, can have different pods attached for goods delivery, passenger transport or waste management.
This pod can be any shape, but basically it goes on top of the chassis.
But the IP behind this can be adapted to a variety of vehicles in different places and industries.
Once the world goes digital, digital can connect to digital really easily. And that's kind of what we do. So some of our target markets are, companies that are running roboticized kind of warehouses, automated DCs. They're running a fully automated site. I mean, some of the mining guys in Australia are running fully automated, roboticized sites.
The scope of these businesses combining tech and carbon reduction almost has no bounds. One key area for Investable to hunt is in agriculture.
We're seeing businesses and people applying new technologies to improve the output and reduce the carbon impact. We're also seeing, like biosciences and, using plants to create plastic alternatives. And then we're seeing technology like drones being combined with AI to deliver a whole range of solutions that weren't possibly previously.
Another example of the type of company Investable would consider is New Zealand's Carbon Click, whose founders helped implement Air New Zealand's carbon offset program. Its founder is also waiting for technology to catch up and change the aviation industry.
Technology can't come fast enough. We look at the air industry, for example. We wish we had electric planes right now, or hydrogen planes. That stuff is in the pipeline, and there are small-scale operations working on this. But if we want to fly between, Australia and Bali, you can't just do that. That'll be 10 years away.
Until then, he says, offset programs, though in older growth replanting rather than flammable forests such as pine, are the way to mitigate the impact of rising emissions.
Any technology that we can leverage using carbon offsets to help. Sustainable aviation fuel is one of those circular economy type of fuels where you're actually producing the oil by growing it, absorbing the carbon and then emitting it again, rather than digging it out of the ground. But certainly there are some low-hanging fruits with technology, and then there are areas where it becomes very, very difficult, and we need to rely on reforestation and other offset projects to balance that out.
In any industry where new technology is replacing an existing work practice, there comes a crossover point where the logic of the tech becomes clear and economic. This is the point Investable is searching for in a range of industries, with investments in those breaking boundaries.
Solar is a perfect example. From 2009 to 2019, it reduced in cost by about 90%. And the great news is we are seeing similar reductions across a range of technologies. Batteries are now where solar was about 10 years ago. So we are going to see a huge amount of cost reduction, partly because the volume is absolutely going up, and the economies of scale and learning around that. But you're right, that's how we look and focus at different sectors to really try and determine where there's going to be some huge advancements over this next decade.